And the truth is the truth, and the data is there. And what we saw when Caitlin was out the last time, the 5 games that she missed earlier in the season, the WNBA's viewership dropped more than 50%. Not just the Fever, but the entire league.
In this age of manufactured drama and social media controversy,
this injury as well, then you're getting into this territory where a very serious injury can happen. That is what the Indiana Fever, that is what Caitlin need to avoid the best that they possibly can. So if it means that Caitlin is out for 3 weeks, if it means that she is out all the way through All-Star, then so be it.
nationally televised WNBA viewership plummeted by a
The first thing Caitlin Clark notices the morning after the Dallas loss is not the pain. The groin is still on fire, sure, but aching has become as routine as brushing her teeth. It's the silence. No phone vibration, no group chat gifs, no sloppy 5 a.m. selfie from Lexi Hull yelling,
"Hey, guess what, guys?
League is Caitlin Clark.
The league is Caitlin Clark. She is the WNBA, guys."
Sidelined with a left quad strain May 24th, national TV viewership has plunged since then 55%. Before the injury, the Fever, her team, were averaging 1.81 million viewers, almost 2 million. Since her injury, fewer than 850,000.
We back in Gainbridge, baby. Even the constant ping of ticket update emails from Fever Marketing, last chance for replica night. Use code 22 is missing. For 4 straight months, her life has been an unbroken wall of noise. Camera shutters in airport corridors, boom mics over breakfast, strangers deploying iPhones like paparazzi at every security checkpoint.
They've been losing leads. The close on games has been very, very, very much of a struggle for them. And yeah, you have to face the ugly part about it. You have to figure out what you're going to do to actually fix that situation. You know what I'm saying? Fix that issue that y'all keep having. It's about want to. It's about grit. It's about, saying, no, we're going to win this game and there's nothing you're going to do about it. And a part of that comes from just wanting to win, wanting to get that dub. So, yeah, I kind of understand Sophie. I do have grace for this team, but at the end of the day, man, you can think about probably 2-3 other teams who have just put their team together as well, and they are finding ways to win more games than the Indiana Fever.
Because right now, it's not about adapting, it's about surviving. Sabotage wrapped in fake sisterhood. While Caitlin Clark was busy doing what she does best.
At the end of this season, the WNBA will go into CBA negotiations. If negotiations go well, then every single player in the WNBA has a much better chance of making so much more in their next contract. And that's one thing when you start thinking about how many people stopped watching when Caitlin Clark got injured. A lot of people stopped watching because they are boycotting the WNBA. They don't want to give viewership to any other teams or any other players, whether they like other players on the team or not, because of how the media and the league itself has handled Caitlin Clark and how they have treated her fans.
She can't remember the last time she walked more than 20 feet without hearing someone squeal her jersey number. This hush then feels ominous, like a city block seconds before the power grid fails and the neon signs flicker out. A single off day shouldn't crater an entire ecosystem, but data analysts inside Nielsen's Manhattan Nerve Center already see the red column stacking. The Fever Wings broadcast flexed onto Prime Cable because Clark vs. Ogunbowl sounded seductive to advertisers, pulls 834,000 viewers, down from 1.93 million the last time Caitlin faced Dallas on a healthy leg.
Man, bruh. Congratulations to the WNBA. Your ratings are going to drop by 55 to 60% once again. I believe the WNBA has successfully broken Caitlin Clark. I don't even know where to begin, man. I hope Caitlin Clark is okay. I want to know when this injury even happened, bro, because let's be serious here. She has the quad injury. Mind you, Caitlin Clark hadn't missed a game since she was like 19 years old, since she was like 18 in college or something. Now she has a groin injury. We've never seen Caitlin Clark play as bad as she played the last 3 games. Let's just be serious here. She's like 1 for 20 something on threes in the last 3. We've never seen her shoot the ball this way. I'll say that. Has she been hurt and playing through this?
The most damning aspect of this entire situation is that it was
A TNT scheduler refreshes the dashboard 4 times, hoping the curve will bounce by morning. It doesn't. 3 time zones west, Amazon executives spin through a 27-slide deck titled Women's Hoops Digital Acceleration. Slide 19 is a heat map of WNBA fan retention. Phoenix, Chicago, New York glow bright. Everything else is toned down until it resembles low-ink printer paper. The kicker is the footnote. Clark participation equals plus 126% view completion. Non-Clark prime games equals minus 48%.
You hear me? Bruh, you just don't see players. You don't see female basketball players like her. I'm sorry. I done seen a lot of female basketball players, like I said.
To clean up, I believe the physicality and all this hacking and fouling that goes on. She getting blindsided by Marina Mabry. I think all of this stuff is having a wear and tear and an impact. And all you guys are doing are hurting yourselves, because the numbers are going to drop and drop and drop. And trust me, when it's time for that collective bargaining agreement, they are going to point to this and say, well, how can we give you guys all this money? What happens if she gets hurt?
Because of the way they play the game. Because I love the WNBA. I love the way they play the game. But we really watch it because Caitlin Clark and everybody watching. Now listen, if I keep bumping her, knocking her down, might get her a concussion, you might hurt her for real. For 2 weeks, she was done with like a hamstring. She was down. 55% of the viewership was down. She comes back the next game, it's about 3 million viewers. Now let me tell you something. Growing up in the hood, they teach you this. Always protect the money. Y'all keep hurting her and all that. She going for a year or 2. Ain't nobody gonna watch it. If nobody watches, how y'all gonna make and generate money?
And we talked about this. We're circled on everybody's schedule. Everyone, no one likes us, right? So everyone in our locker room, that's the only type of people that we have that we can lean on. And we got to be better in that area. We have got to stay disciplined. We have to stay focused. We need to get consistent, and we got to lean on each other. And I think that we've kind of wavered a little bit on that. We have our own islands, but as one of the leaders on the team, I got to do a better job of grouping people, right?
So now we're here. Caitlin Clark.
I've been watching that Sophie Cunningham thing on repeat, man. That clip where she grabbed a girl and threw her down, so foul. It's a hard basketball foul, probably over the top. Of course it is, but why would it not be given the circumstances? But once she did the clinch, man, MMA fans, UFC, grappling, Muay Thai, we all know. Once you seen that clinch, it was like, okay, she just ain't no regular fucking person. She knows something. She got some skills, and I guess she has like a black belt in Taekwondo or some shit like that, which is wild. And apparently she was the kicker on a high school football team.
She doesn't need to throw chairs or tweet shade. She just needs to pull a Magic Johnson move.
The blunt truth. When number 22 is unavailable, 1.2 million Americans simply find other programming. The commute to relevancy is that short, the drop-off that steep. Inside league headquarters, Kathy Engelbert's PR staff draft 4 potential statements. Each tries a different verb to avoid mentioning panic. Monitoring, evaluating, continuing, collaborating. None of them say the obvious one, scrambling. While the suits juggle talking points, trainers in St. Vincent's rehab wing juggle anatomy. Clark's left groin is still fluid-packed. The surrounding muscles feel like piano wire under a blowtorch. The ultrasound reveals minor fiber fraying, not surgical, but nasty enough to sideline a superstar for 2 to 4 weeks if the staff follows conservative protocol. Conservative hasn't been Indiana's brand this year. When the quad strain hit in May, rest recommendations said 7 to 10 days non-impact.
And it shouldn't matter, but it does. And what I mean is, we're all human, and not everybody's athletes don't. They should. They get paid to. It's a job. It's.
She could take fault in it too, because it's also like you have to recognize what's going on, right?
But I just think that it's impossible to think that's not a real possibility here. And it should be noted, Stephanie White. All right, Stephanie White checks some boxes.
Now everybody knows who Sophie Cunningham is. Everybody wants a piece of Sophie Cunningham. Her jersey is the #1 selling jersey in the WNBA. Sold out. Now, why is that significant? I'll tell you. Because her jersey surpassed the all-time woman, Caitlin Clark. The most popular woman ever in the WNBA, Caitlin Clark, got her jersey surpassed by Sophie Cunningham. Why? Because Sophie Cunningham stood up for Caitlin Clark. She did all of these Instagrams. She did all of this stuff. And next thing you know, it all didn't matter.
At this point, Caitlin has every right to flip the narrative. The nice girl mask needs to come off.
She missed 5 calendar days, 3 games, then logged 36 minutes her first night back because the algorithm said 1.8 million eyeballs were waiting. So now the medical team is performing triage on 2 fronts, the literal muscle fibers and the bigger wound, trust. Clark nods dutifully through every strengthening demonstration, but the question behind her eyes is a polygraph they can't pass. Will they actually let me heal this time? Across the city, Sophie Cunningham's quote about different islands has detonated like a spark in a dry cornfield. Comment sections fill with amateur cartographers mapping who stands on which imaginary land mass. Island 1, the Lifers. Natasha Howard, Brianna Turner, a cluster of veterans who ground their way through overseas winters and still resent a rookie flown in first class.
What I saw walk into the game is what the media don't see. Thousands of kids.
Wearing what, Gil?
Kids. Huh?
What were they
Caitlin
wearing?
Clark jerseys.
Were they Fever jerseys? Were they Iowa jerseys? Were they
wherever she played? It was whatever she played.
And that's what was more impressive to me.
It did that. It wasn't just. It was Caitlin in the back.
For her style of play.
But her style of play. But it was. It wasn't what we were. It wasn't adults. Right. It was parents bringing their kids and their friends. Them seats was kids filled.
Right.
And that's what they don't understand. They don't grasp that part of it.
So after last night, another collapse by the Indiana Fever and giving up a fourth quarter lead to lose the game. Sophie Cunningham had pretty interesting words in the post game, after the post game interview, and what she said pretty much spot on for what everybody has been thinking, or some of us have been thinking, is that there is some kind of issue in the locker room. And she put it plain and simple as we could get it. And maybe this could lead to what DeWanna Bonner left. Now, there could be some issues, there could be some players, and we already know that there's a gender out against the Indiana
boxes. And then you've got Sophie, and you got Caitlin, and you got Aaliyah, and you got Lexi. To my knowledge, probably Demarius Dantis, but I don't know. Michaela Timpson, I don't know. That don't check some boxes.
They grew up chasing a W that rarely loved them back. Their motto, respect is earned, not handed out with a TNT camera crew. Island 2, the hopefuls. Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, Nalissa Smith. Young core drafted to be the future, but realistic enough to see that future tied to the woman wearing 22. They ping-pong between admiration and exasperation, thrilled by sold-out crowds, frustrated that basic sets explode when veterans freeze out the point guard. Island 3, the diplomats. Cunningham herself, bench guard Erica Wheeler, and rookie posts Timpson and Gonzo. They hand out encouragement like Smarties candy on Halloween, trying to mortar the cracks. Their group chat is full of hashtag Team Energy gifs nobody else bothers to open. Atmosphere matters in pro locker rooms. Cynicism is contagious. By July, the Fever's film sessions start with polite critique. Natasha, we missed Aaliyah on that role, and end in what one assistant privately calls murderball body language. Arms folded, headphones slapped on, veterans jotting phantom notes just to avoid eye contact.
I'm not sure Sophie meant for it to come out like that, but it's something I have suspected for a while, maybe about 4 weeks now. It's something that Jason Whitlock jumped head first into the deep end the other day on that the locker room with the Fever, and just to keep it real, I agree with him on this. I think there are some preferences in the locker room where these young ladies differ in how they handle or how their preferences in their personal lives, and the locker room is divided.
Interesting comments from Sophie Cunningham. And yes, you kind of have to read between the lines a little bit, but I also think it is a pretty clear admission, just without detail, of what has been going on with the Indiana Fever this season. And it is not good at all. It makes it really, really difficult for teams to put together winning performances when you have all of this going on. And no, I'm not even talking about the distraction of Caitlin Clark and her injury and other things, although that plays a part as well. But she also does make a comment that I think is important in terms of who the Indiana Fever are as a team and how that makes things more difficult as well. So I want to take a listen.
For all the talk of vibes, the on-court math is concrete. Player tracking company Second Spectrum isolates every Indiana possession. When Clark touches the ball 3+ seconds, the Fever's effective field goal percentage is 57%. When she touches less than a second, it drops to 46%. When she never touches at all, it nosedives to 41%, bottom 3 in the league. Yet over the last 8 games, Indiana runs 121 offensive trips where Clark doesn't register a single pass reception. 121 possessions, purposely removing a generational playmaker. Coaches watch the reel, chew dry lip skin, scroll the stat sheet another time, hoping different digits appear. They don't. Cunningham's full quote runs 108 seconds, but news clips carve the juiciest 16. We've kind of wavered. Everybody's on their own island right now, and as one of the voices, I have to build a bridge. We circle on every schedule. Nobody likes us, so if we don't lean on each other, we got nothing.
What is going on with the Indiana Fever? Is tensions mounting? Did Sophie Cunningham just expose the truth that's going on with the Indiana Fever? Is there some turmoil brewing? Is there issues in the locker room?
Goes in the post-game press conference and confirms what we've all known all along. This locker room is split, and she uses the term different islands going on in this locker room. It turns out that Christy Sides and all of those toilet paper mummy activities, all those scavenger hunt activities, the wiffle ball coming back from the Olympic break, it turned out that those stupid games actually played a big part, along with Erica Wheeler's veteran leadership, keeping this locker room, keeping this team together.
What's interesting is everybody hates them for multiple reasons, but the one I want to talk about when she said about circled on the schedule that I think is important, because it's easy to look from the outside and be like, well, that shouldn't matter.
Taking accountability. Now, I can't say that last play with the 5-point swing. I think more so of she shouldn't have been in front of Stevens, man. She is too big. She is too big. Yeah, I get it, box out, but it was better to have Boston in her spot. Now, I did hear Stephanie White take accountability on that one. She was like, yeah, it's probably on me. I should have switched them too, made sure we had the big right there, but you know, it just slipped her. But yeah, I think in that instance, it should have been Boston right there. It's big on her to take the accountability, but yeah, Boston should have been there.
Translation for casual fans. We're fighting battles in public that should be team only, and it's destroying us. Translation inside the locker room. Pass the damn ball and quit acting like her success steals yours. Media spins it into tabloid fodder. But front offices pay attention because veterans rarely air dirty laundry unless the hamper is overflowing. In Phoenix, Diana Taurasi texts Sophie a single word: spicy. In Brooklyn, Liberty GM Jonathan Kolb screens the clip and makes a mental note: locker room intel is currency at trade deadline time. While fans argue scheme and passion, accountants stare at spreadsheets with sinking stomachs. StubHub's dynamic pricing dashboard shows Fever at Mercury ticket values plummeting 68% overnight. Marriott Group Sales directors field cancellations from traveling youth teams who booked Phoenix weekends solely to see Clark. A single injured groin has wiped out roughly $2.8 million in ancillary tourism across 5 markets, hotels, restaurant prefix menus, parking garages, before she's even missed her second game. At WNBA headquarters The Finance, VP compares trailing 30-day merchandise revenue. Clark active days averaged $620,000. Clark inactive days averaged $238,000. She cross-references network ad reconciliation reports. Advertisers bought Clark games at a 1.7 CPM premium.
A lot of us were expecting some sort of dip since Caitlin Clark has been out with injury, but I don't think all of us were expecting the entire viewership of the entire WNBA to be down. And this tweet from Christine Brennan really stuck out to me. She said, one player gets injured and more than half the TV audience for the entire league disappears. Has any other athlete ever had that kind of impact on a sport? Golf without Tiger definitely dropped precipitously on occasion, but
The WNBA finds itself in a devastating financial free fall.
What's really concerning about this is the fact that we are only a month into the regular season, and Caitlin Clark has already been out with 2 injuries, with the first one being her having to miss some time with a left quad strain. Now, of course, this is concerning because if you're already on your second injury, you don't want to be that player that is always hurt. Cough, cough, Embiid, cough, cough, Anthony Davis. So I really do hope that the Fever really sits her out right now for a while, only because you don't want her to have more long-term injuries and be more prone to.
If you are enjoying, please subscribe. The financial devastation.
In the post-game interview, speaks on this team and the islands within the locker room. Everybody's on their own little island. We're going to get back to that real quick. Listen to what Stephanie White said in the offseason. One of her thousands of interviews that I called out. Stop doing interviews. I want some wins. One of her 1,000 million interviews during her press run in the offseason.
Make goods now loom because viewership thresholds weren't met. Real dollars slosh out of budgets like water from a cracked hull. Stephanie White's clipboard is cluttered with too many mandates. Develop the core, satisfy impatient vets, babysit rookie minutes, appease broadcast partners, win now, win later, sell tickets, protect legs. The contradictions pull her huddle apart like taffy. Privately, she confides to an assistant she hasn't slept more than 4 consecutive hours since May. She toggles between film and social media firestorms, wondering which will implode first. She tries another team-building exercise, a blindfold relay featuring rubber chickens and relay bats, only to watch half the roster pretend they're too sore to participate. The symbolism is hard to miss. Nobody wants to run if they're not sure who they're passing the baton to. Engelbert commissions a third-party consulting firm. The brief: assess star player safety protocols, broadcast revenue elasticity, and locker room cultural risk. The early slides aren't pretty. Star-centric leagues, NBA, PGA during Tiger era, thrive when rules guard stars. WNBA officiating permits 34% more high-contact body checks on marquee players than NBA counterparts. Sentiment analysis of 2.1 million social posts shows unfair treatment of Clark is now the #1 negative emotion driver, surpassing previous leader lack of exposure. The consultant's conclusion is blunt. If your product's virality depends on a single figure, invest in her longevity or risk immediate brand regression. For weeks, she has let the waves break over her, trusting that grit plus niceness eventually converts doubters. But bodies aren't metaphors. They tear. She replays the Sophie quote, and here's subtext: be the leader even the veterans won't be. So she schedules a players-only dinner. No coaches, no cameras. A private room at St. Elmo's, the steakhouse legendary for horseradish that clears sinuses and truths. She stands, groin wrapped under joggers, and breaks the hush. We can love or hate the spotlight, but it's here. The difference between getting a charter flight next season or not might be how we treat each other this month. If I'm the distraction, say it now. If jealousy's real, say it now.
As big a deal as Tiger was in men's golf, Keith, he did, and when he was gone, it affected the ratings, but nothing like that. And, Michael Jordan being out, maybe a 5 percentage points or something. Nothing like this. You can make a strong case, and I will make that case, and have that there is no one single athlete more important to his or her sport or tour or whatever the circuit is that they play on.
Christine, how much does it hurt the WNBA when Caitlin Clark is out?
It is devastating to the WNBA when Caitlin Clark is out.
But when the ball's tipped, the jersey says Fever, not Islands. There is dead quiet. And then, unexpected, Natasha Howard taps her glass. I've been in this league 12 years. I've been broke overseas, won rings, watched crowds of 3,000 and crowds of 18. I ain't jealous of you. I'm jealous of the hype I never got. That's on me. So pass or shoot. Just call it so I ain't guessing. A breath, a nod, maybe a first bridge. Not a Disney ending, but foundation. ESPN's next schedule update still lists Indiana on 5 national windows in the coming month. Ticket prices start creeping again on rumors of Clark's imminent return. Medical scans show scar tissue mending faster than projected. The league office circulates a memo. Flagrant. 1 thresholds raised. Point of emphasis on airborne shooters. Refs grumble but oblige. Whether the islands merge or redistrict themselves in newer forms of resentment remains to be seen. But the data is undeniable, and the silence around Caitlin's injury has taught every stakeholder a lesson burned in neon. Protect the star or restart the cycle. For the moment, all eyes await the next injury report. 1 line of text, 2 possible futures. An empire balanced on a single groin muscle that finally, maybe, will be allowed to heal.